Hi, welcome to Slow English with Brian. I'm Brian. This video is a compilation of other videos that I have done. If you don't know what a compilation is, it is just a big collection, a big group of other videos that I have done. I am making this video so that people who are exercising or people who are on the bus or are on the train can listen for a long time while they do those things. You can also listen to this video while you sleep. You can put the video on loop like this if you want to do that. This video will talk about many topics, so there is a good amount of variety in the vocabulary that you will hear. I also want to thank all of you for all of the likes and good comments that you have given me. I read all of the comments and they make me very happy. I hope that you will enjoy this long video. While listening, you can try to repeat some of the words that I say. That is very good for your speaking skills, especially your pronunciation. Also, if I say a word that you don't know, it's a good idea to use a dictionary or search engine like these, or even an AI to ask what the word means. That's a very good idea. Let's start. In this video, we are going to talk about daily routines. When I teach English, many students ask me, what is a routine and what is a daily routine? I tell them that a daily routine is something that we do every day or almost every day. In my life, I have a routine where I wake up at 7:30 a.m. every day and cycle on a cycling machine for 1 hour. I do that every day. So that is a routine that I have. After I finish cycling, I go to the gym 6 days per week. It is almost a daily routine, but I don't go on one day. So it's not a daily routine. It's just a routine that I do a lot. Usually, I exercise at the gym for 45 minutes. Then I go home. All of that exercising, the cycling and the gym, is my morning routine. What do you do every morning or almost every morning? Tell me in the comments what your morning routine is. I read every comment. After I finish exercising, I come home and my wife and I eat lunch together. I am a very lucky man because she is very good at cooking. Then we spend time with our daughter, and we do that until about 1 or 2 p.m. Then we take a nap every day. In America, where I grew up, people didn't take naps very much. But here in Vietnam, people like to take naps, and I like it too. That is my routine around noon, or it is my early afternoon routine. Please tell me your early afternoon routine in the comments. In the later afternoon, my wife and I teach English together. We usually finish teaching English at about 8 to 9 p.m. Then we have dinner, get ready for bed, and go to sleep. That is my evening routine. Please tell me your evening routine in the comments. Before I end this video, let's talk about how to pronounce the word routine. Some students let their tongue move a lot when they say So instead of saying routine, they say routine. In English, especially American English like mine, we don't have the r sound. So when you say routine, do this with your tongue. Take your tongue and move it up and back. Like that. Routine. It doesn't wiggle. It just goes up and back. Routine. In this video, we are going to talk about things that we do in our free time. We can also say leisure time instead of free time. Leisure time is the time that we have when we are not working and not helping anybody. We are just relaxing and doing what we want to do. I want to talk about two groups of activities that we can do in our leisure time. The first group is called pastimes. A pastime is something that we do to pass the time. It helps us to not feel bored and not feel maybe sleepy if we are not working or not helping someone. Some people wonder why the second S went away in that word. Why not two S's? The reason is that English can be weird. Sometimes spelling changes over time. It used to have two S's, but now it just has one. Pastimes are easy to do. They don't need a lot of work, and they don't need a lot of difficult ideas and knowledge and thinking. They are easy. Pastimes are the first group of things that we can do in our leisure time. The second group is hobbies. Hobbies are a little bit like pastimes, but we need to work harder or know more things or think about things more carefully when we do them. Let's look at some examples. First, let's talk about a mental pastime and a mental hobby. A mental pastime is the game tic-tac-toe. We need to think a little bit when we play that game, but it's not very hard. We can play it and relax, or have a conversation with friends, while we play the game. It's very easy. Now, let's compare that with a mental hobby, the game chess, or the game Go. They are both mental hobbies. We need to think very carefully and know a lot of things about those games when we play them, if we want to win. Now, let's talk about a physical pastime. What comes to my mind is going for a walk. We don't need to study how to go for a walk. We just put on our shoes or sandals, walk outside, and go. It's very simple. We do that for a little bit of exercise, but it's just a relaxing activity. Now, let's compare that with a physical hobby. One of them is something called parkour. Some people say that it is a sport. Other people say that it is just a hobby. I think both ways of thinking are okay. But to do parkour, people need to know a lot, work a lot, and practice a lot. Not all physical hobbies are for young athletic people, though. For instance, dancing like this is also a hobby. People have to study it and practice a lot to be good at doing it. Some activities can be pastimes and hobbies, depending on how the person does them. Here are two examples. The first one is playing video games. Many people play video games as a pastime because they don't want to feel bored. They don't practice the video games a lot. They just do them to have fun. These people have to practice for many hours every day because they want to win money in video game competitions. So, playing video games can be a pastime, but it can also be a hobby. Another activity that is an example of something that can be a pastime or a hobby is painting, or art in general. People can do art, or let's focus on painting. People can paint as a pastime, just for fun, but people can also study how to paint and practice for many hours every day to make beautiful paintings. Please tell me in the comments below what pastimes and hobbies you have. You can say something like this: I play tic-tac-toe and paint when I want to do pastimes, and I do rock climbing when I want to do my hobbies. Before I end this video, let's practice saying a difficult word: leisure. I said that word near the beginning of this video. We often say leisure time as another way to say free time. That word is hard because the S in that word makes a Z sound. And that sound, Z, does not have a special letter for it in English. Here's how we do it. First, say the sound that comes from SH, sh, like that. Then we add our voice to it. So we don't keep saying shh, we add our voice. So we say shh, we add our voice to it, like that. Shh, exactly like that. Leisure, leisure. And let's say it in a common phrase, leisure time. In this video, we are going to talk about pets. First, we will talk about normal pets, like cats and dogs. Then we will talk about unusual pets, like snakes. In my life, I have had many normal pets. When I was very young, my family had 2 dogs. They were golden retrievers, like these. Later, my family adopted 2 chihuahuas, like these. They were very small and very mean. My family also had 5 parakeets, but we had them at different times. They are tiny, but they look a little bit like parrots. I also had 3 guinea pigs. They are like big hamsters. You can see the difference here. My family also had some small fish like these, but they did not live for a very long time. I didn't have any cats, but cats are also very normal pets. Please tell me in the comments about any normal pets that you have. You can say, I have 1 dog and 2 cats, or I have 2 parrots and 1 dog. Things like that. Now, let's talk about unusual pets. But before I talk about this, I want to explain that different countries have different ideas about unusual pets. My ideas are the ideas of many Western people, people who come from America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, places like that. So if you are watching from a different place in the world, your ideas might be a little bit different. But I live in Vietnam now, and I will say people have very similar opinions to mine in regard to what unusual pets are. So maybe our ideas will be very similar. Who knows? Let's find out. When I think about unusual pets, the first thing that comes into my mind is a snake. Some people have short snakes like these, and other people have huge snakes like these. I have never had a snake, and I do not want to have a snake. Other unusual pets that are kind of like snakes are turtles and lizards. Many people call animals like those reptiles, but people who know a lot about animal sciences sometimes disagree about what is and isn't a reptile. But normal people, when they hear the word reptile, will think about animals like these. In my opinion, these are all unusual pets. Other unusual pets are animals that we often see on farms. For instance, some people have pet donkeys and pet goats. When I think about having a pet like that, I think that they would make the house very dirty, but maybe I'm wrong. Another group of unusual pets is animals that come from the forest. Pets like these include capuchin monkeys, tigers, that's very dangerous, don't do that, and even hippos. A lot of those forest pets are very dangerous and do not like to be pets. So my advice is don't try to get a pet like that. Please tell me in the comments if you know anyone who has an unusual pet. You can say something like, my neighbor has 3 pet snakes. Before I end this video, let's practice saying a difficult word. That word is unusual. That is a hard word, so here's how I say it in my American English accent. I say it in 4 parts. Unusual. That third part has the sound zh. I talked about that in my last video, but let's review. It is like the SH sound, shh, but we add our voice. So it sounds like this. Shh, shh, just like that. Unusual, unusual, unusual. That's how I say that word in my American English accent. In this video, we are going to talk about family. First, it's important to keep in our minds what our family is. If you are a child, your family is your mom, or your dad, or your mom and your dad, and your brother or brothers, and your sister or your sisters. Also, you might have aunts or uncles. Those are the brothers and sisters of your mom and dad. If those aunts or uncles have kids, they are your cousins. Then you have grandparents, the parents of your parents. We can call them grandma or grandmother and grandpa or grandfather. If you are older like me, though, the family becomes more complicated. I have a wife, and she has a family. So my wife's mom is now a part of my family, but it's a different family from my family in America. The mother of my wife is my mother-in-law, and my wife's father is my father-in-law. My wife's brother is my brother-in-law. When people get married, the idea of family becomes complicated. So I often say my side of the family when I talk about my mom and my dad and my brother and sister. And I say your side of the family when I talk with my wife about her mom and her dad and her brother. My side of the family lives in America, but I live in Vietnam. So I live far away from my side of the family. If you are married like me, do you live far away from your side of the family? Or do you live close to your side of the family? You can say, I live close to my side of the family. Or you can say, I don't live close to my side of the family. Because I live far away from my side of the family, we have video calls with each other almost every day. Do you have video calls with your family members? If you live close to them, Maybe you don't need to have video calls with them. Maybe you eat dinner with them every night. We live next door to my wife's side of the family, and that makes them very happy. My brother-in-law also has 2 kids. They are my daughter's cousins, and they play together every day. They are very close. My daughter knows English and Vietnamese because I speak to her in English and because everyone around her in this small town speaks to her in Vietnamese. So my daughter helps her cousins to learn English. They play together in English a lot. In your family, is there more than one language that people use? You can say, no, we only use one language in my family. Or you can say, yes, we use 2 languages or 3 languages in my family. Also, when you spend time with your family, what do you like to do with them? You can say, I like to cook with them, or I like to talk with them, or I like to do sports with them. Now, and when I lived in America with them, I liked and still like today to talk with my family, to share ideas. Before we end this video, let's practice saying a difficult word from the video. Cousin. Some people think that the OU says O, but it doesn't. It says like up. Also, the S in that word makes a Z sound, like zebra. So, we do not say cousin, we say cousin, cousin. In this video, we will talk about friends. There are many kinds of friends, but we will talk about the most common types of friends. First, let's talk about what people think when they hear the word friend. When I think about that word, I think about someone with whom we talk a lot or do things a lot, and someone about whom we care. We talk with them, we do things with them, and we care about them. When young children have friends, they often do things a lot together because they don't have enough language skills or mental capacity to express their ideas or their feelings. But as they grow up, they can start to share their thoughts and feelings with their friends more often. I have some friends who only like to do things with me, like exercise. But I have other friends who like to share ideas or just talk for fun with me. Please tell me what you like to do with your friends. Next, let's talk about another type of friend. It is called a work friend. These are people with whom we talk a lot and with whom we work, but we might not talk with them outside of our jobs very much. When I taught in Hanoi, I had many work friends. Some of them were other teachers, like me. We talked about teaching and English and learning Vietnamese. I also had work friends who were the office workers in the building in which I worked. They had the job of talking on the phone to the parents of my students. So I often talked with those work friends about students. I talked with, worked with, and cared about those work friends, but we didn't spend time together outside of work very much. That's why I call them work friends, not normal friends. Another kind of friend is a best friend. People think about the phrase best friend in two ways. People like me, who think about it in the first way, say that a best friend is the number one friend in your life, and there is only one person like that. That's because the word best means better than everything else. Other people, however, think that we can have more than one best friend. They say that best friends are just a group of friends who are above normal friends. In American English, people use both ideas when they say best friend. So you can choose if you think like me by thinking that a best friend is one special, unique person, or whether a best friend is someone who is just above normal friends. Tell me in the comments below if you think that people can have more than one best friend. Also, usually, people who have a best friend have been friends with that person for a long time. For instance, for me, my best friend is my wife. She and I have known each other since 2019, so we have been together for a long time. So far, we have talked about normal friends, work friends, and best friends. But now I want to talk about a different kind of friend. Let's talk about acquaintances. These are people whom we know, and maybe we talk with them or do things with them sometimes, but we don't have a strong connection with them. For instance, if you go to a store every day and someone else from your neighborhood goes at the same time, and you see each other every day at that store and know each other's names, maybe you will talk sometimes, but you don't care a lot about each other. That is an acquaintance. You know them, maybe you talk with them or do things with them, but you do not have a close connection. There is one more kind of friend that I want to talk about. That is an online friend. These are people with whom we write messages online. Maybe we send them emails or talk with them on special websites called forums, or maybe you see them on social media websites that are very popular and talk with them there. But you don't see them in real life. You only know them through the computer or your phone. Before the internet, people still had friends like this, but they had a different name. They were called pen pals. Pal means friend, and a pen is like a pencil. They were called pen pals because people who were pen pals wrote letters to each other and sent them to each other in the mail. Now, we don't need to do that because the internet makes things much easier in that way. Tell me, did you have a pen pal when you were younger? Or do you have any online friends? Before we end this video, I want to practice the word acquaintance. It is a hard word to spell, but let's talk about how to say it. We say it in 3 parts. Acquaintance. Acquaintance. If we are talking about more than one person, we add is at the end. Acquaintances. Acquaintances. In this video, we are going to talk about chores. Chores are little tasks, or sometimes big tasks, that we do in our homes. Children have to do these chores because their parents tell them to. Adults have to do them because if we don't, our homes will not look nice and will not feel nice when we are in them. There are many, many chores that we have to do. So I'm not going to talk about all of them, but let's talk about some of them. Let's start with some common chores in the kitchen. The first one that comes to my mind is cooking dinner or making dinner. In my family, my wife is the one who cooks dinner. That's because she is very good at cooking, and I am very, very, very bad at cooking. When I cook, I have to follow a recipe very carefully. But when she cooks, she feels the food somewhere in her heart or her mind, I don't know. But she doesn't ever follow a recipe, and it's always very delicious. She also likes cooking a lot. The next chore is doing the dishes or washing the dishes, like this. In my family, I do the scrubbing of the dishes. And then my wife puts the dishes that I scrubbed into the dishwasher. That way, we finish the dishes very quickly every night. Another chore that children often do is setting the table. This means bringing the plates and bowls and spoons and forks and knives and sometimes napkins to the table before everyone eats. After doing the dishes, I do another chore that is very fast and easy. I take out the trash. In some countries, we take out the trash by walking outside and putting it in a trash bin or a trash can, like these. I did that in America. Here in Vietnam, we leave our trash in a special trash area, and then the trash truck comes to pick it up. Next, let's move to the bedroom. One chore in the bedroom is making the bed. We make the bed by moving the pillows and the blankets like these and the sheet like this so that the bed looks very nice during the day. Children often do this chore when they wake up in the morning. Now, let's talk about some chores that we do in the whole house. The first one is called tidying up. Tidying up means that we pick things up that are on the floor or move things that are maybe on a table if they don't belong on a table. We put things back where they belong. In my family, we all tidy up because my young daughter has toys that she moves around the house a lot. We have to tidy up her toys by putting them back where they belong. Next, two similar chores are mopping, like this, and sweeping, like this. What's the difference? Sweeping is dry. We don't use water when we sweep. So we sweep dust away, we sweep dirt away sometimes. We also sweep leaves away sometimes. Mopping, like this, is wet. We mop the floor when it has dirt on it that we can't sweep away, or if we spill water or juice or like maybe milk on the floor, we need to mop up that mess. Many people around the world have tiny robots that look like this, that do the sweeping and the mopping. But I don't think they can sweep or mop the stairs very well. We can also wash the windows if they get dirty. That is a fairly easy chore to do. But you have to be tall enough if you have windows that are high, or you need a stick to wash the upper parts of the window. Two other chores that are related are washing or doing the laundry and hanging the laundry. In my family, I wash and hang the laundry every day. Doing the laundry or washing the laundry means putting it into the washing machine. After it's done, I hang the laundry in a special area of my house that gets a lot of air and sunlight. That lets my clothes dry. When I lived in America, my family had a clothes dryer like this to do that. But in Vietnam, people often prefer to let the sun and the air dry their clothes. Before I end this video, I want to talk about the pronunciation of the word chores. Some students mispronounce that word by saying chores or chores, but we can be a bit more careful and say it correctly by thinking about the two hard sounds in the middle. The first one is the sound o that the letter O makes. It's not an ah or o, it's o because it comes before the letter R. The second difficult sound is the R sound. The American R sound is very challenging for many students around the world. Let's practice it a little bit together now. To make the American R sound, you can do this. Imagine that this is your tongue. When I say like in chores, my tongue curls like this and goes up and back. It doesn't curl like crazy, and some people's tongues curl back, Mine doesn't. Mine curls a little bit like this, just a little. Chores, chores. In this video, we are going to talk about homes. Many of my students get confused about what a home is. Many students think that home and house are the same, but they are not. Let's talk about it. First, let me say this. A home can have all kinds of different appearances. It can be a house like this. It can be an apartment like one of these. It can be, in a sad situation, a field like this, or a tent like this, or a mansion like this, or a car, or a van, or a bus, or an RV, or a dorm or dormitory like this. Homes can be many different things. A home is where somebody lives for a long time. Let's talk about the most common types of homes. First, we have houses. They look like this, and this, and this, and this, and this. In some places, houses touch each other, like in San Francisco in America, like this. In other places, like one of the places where I lived in America for a long time, houses do not touch each other, like this and this. Houses can have one floor, like this, or 2 or 3 or 4 floors, like this, this, and this. Houses always touch the ground. They don't have another house below them. Now, let's talk about another kind of home, an apartment like this. Usually, apartments are stacked together, one on top of the other, and sometimes next to each other too, in buildings called apartment buildings. I have lived in those too. Sometimes they are very small and only have maybe 1 or 2 rooms. Those are called studios or studio apartments. They are very common in busy city areas. Other apartments have more rooms and are more like a house that has 1 floor and that's in a building high off the ground. I have lived in an apartment like that too, in Hanoi. Often, people rent apartments, but people can buy them too. Homes, on the other hand, are often owned by the person who lives there. But as the economy around the world becomes more expensive, renting homes is becoming more common. In both houses and apartments, there are rooms that have the same name. The room where we have a bed and sleep is called a bedroom. If there is more than one bedroom, one of them is usually the biggest and the best. We call that the master bedroom, or sometimes the master bed. That is usually where a husband and wife sleep if they have children, and the children sleep in the normal bedrooms. The dining room, or the dining area, is where we eat the food. Sometimes, especially in smaller homes and apartments, the kitchen and the dining area can be the same place. Then there is a room for relaxing. We often see TVs in rooms like this. They are called living rooms, or sometimes family rooms. Some of you might be wondering, But what about a flat? How is that different from an apartment? Well, they're not different. Americans like me say apartment, and people in the United Kingdom say flat. They are the same. Some people have enough money to buy a mansion. A mansion like this is just one big fancy house. But a mansion like this is more than just one house. It is a collection of buildings that one person or one group of people owns. It can have the big mansion like this right here near the middle or maybe near the top or the north side with other smaller buildings elsewhere on the same property. I have lived in many homes and many apartments, but I have never lived in a mansion. Sadly, some people don't have a normal home. They have to make a home outside, like this. They have to live in a tent. Or like this, they just live under a bridge. In some countries, this problem is not very common. In Vietnam, where I live, I almost never see anyone who has to live in a home like this. But in America, there are many, many, many homeless people. The reasons for this, the reasons why some countries have a lot of homeless people while other countries don't, are very complicated. But I hope that homelessness all around the world will become less common in the future. Other people have what are called mobile homes. These are homes that can be picked up on a truck like this and moved to other places. I have never lived in a home like that. Another type of home is called an RV. It stands for recreational vehicle. They look like this, like a big bus that's also a house. They look like this on the inside. My grandma had an RV, and I remember her driving me and my siblings around in her RV when I was young. It was very fun, but a little bit dangerous. Please tell me in the comments what kind of home you have. Before I end this video, I want to talk about the word houses. In America, we often say the first S in houses, like the letter Z, even though it is the letter S. So usually we don't say houses. It's not wrong to say that, but most of the Americans whom I met when I lived there said it like me, houses. It just sounds more natural. In this video, we are going to talk about living in cities. I used to live in a city, but I don't anymore. But let's talk about my life and your lives in the city. Before I moved to my wife's hometown, I lived in Hanoi in Vietnam. I taught English there in the middle of the city. In Vietnam, the roads have many motorbikes on them. Take a look at this picture here. That is very common to see in Hanoi. When I came to Vietnam and saw the roads like this, I was very afraid when I drove. But over time, I became more and more comfortable. Now, when I drive, It feels easy, and I like it. It's fun for me to drive in traffic like this. What do the roads in your city look like if you live in a city? Do they have many cars or have many motorbikes like Vietnam? Or is there a mix of cars and motorbikes? Please tell me in the comments below. When I lived in Hanoi, I lived in apartments. Usually, the apartments were in skyscrapers or high-rises. They are similar. Skyscrapers are taller. Do you live in a skyscraper or a high-rise? You can say, yes, I do live in a building like that. Or you can say, no, I live in a different kind of building. When I lived in the city, I enjoyed visiting many different restaurants and shops. In a big city like Hanoi, you can eat lunch at a different restaurant every day. What about you? Do you eat lunch in restaurants or in many different restaurants like I used to? Or do you eat at home? Please tell me in the comments below. Before I finish this video, I want to talk about how to say city. There is the letter T in that word, but as an American, I say it like the letter D. I say city. Both are okay. You can say city or city. But if you are trying to sound like an American, like me, it is better to say city. In this video, I will talk about something called suburban life. That word suburban is a little bit complicated, so let me explain exactly what it means. Imagine that we have a scale. At the bottom of the scale, we have rural places like farms or very small villages where there are just a few homes. At the top of the scale, we have cities with many buildings and very busy streets. At the top, we can use another word instead of city. We can say the word urban. That's an adjective. So we can say cities are urban places. So we have urban places at the top and rural places at the bottom. What is in the middle? Well, in English, if we say sub, we mean below. So suburban, below urban, that's suburban. We don't say suburban, we say suburban. When I was growing up in America, I lived in suburban places. So, there were many cars on the roads and very few motorbikes. It was not as busy as a city, though. There were many parks and swimming pools in fields near my house. If you live in a suburban area, Please tell me about it in the comments. Where I lived, all the homes, or almost all the homes, were not touching each other. So one house was here and another house was here. They did not touch. In cities, apartments and some houses often touch. That is a big difference between city life and suburban life. In suburban areas, there are many businesses, but not as many as cities have. If you live in a suburban area, what do you like to do where you live? When I was growing up, I liked to go to parks and also ride rollerblades around my neighborhood. My parents still live in a suburban area in America, but now I live in a rural area in Vietnam. In the previous 2 videos, we talked about city life in this video and suburban life in that video. Now let's talk about rural life. That's a hard word, and at the end of this video, we will practice it together. But what does it mean? Rural means it's not very busy like a city, and it's even less busy than a suburban area. It's very close to nature. There are not as many buildings and skyscrapers and things like that as there are in cities and even some suburban areas. I live in a place like this because it is my wife's hometown. In an earlier video, I said that it is about 1 hour away from the capital of Vietnam. That's called Hanoi. In this small town, there are fewer than 50,000 people. So it's very easy to know and talk with many of your neighbors. In my wife's family, they sometimes joke that my wife's mother, my mother-in-law, knows everyone whom she sees driving on the roads. If you live in a rural area or small town, do you or do people in your family also know all or many of your neighbors? You can say, yes, I know everyone who lives near me. Or you can say, no, there are a lot of people whom I don't know. In cities and suburban areas all around the world, people often get their food at stores like supermarkets. But where I live, people go to big outdoor markets where farmers bring their vegetables and meat and sell it to people who are driving on the roads. My wife loves to go to that outdoor market every day to get fresh food for herself, for me, and for our daughter. When you or people in your family buy food, do you go to a big store or do you go to an outdoor market like my wife? You can say, I really enjoy going to outdoor markets. Or you can say, no, I prefer going to stores or supermarkets. Something interesting about where I live is that when you look out of the window, you can often see cows walking along the road because there are so many farmers who raise cows in this area. When I first came here, it was very surprising, but now it feels normal to me. Now, let's talk about how to say that word rural. There are two ways Americans often say it. The first way is like this, rural. So there are two parts. R, that's a hard sound to make, R, and then after that, RL, roll, rural, rural. The other way, it's a little bit easier, is to say rural, rural. Both ways end with the RL sound, roll. But the first way has R at the beginning. The second one has the easier RU at the beginning. Rural, rural. They're both okay. We can use that word in sentences like this. I love my rural hometown. Or my parents or my grandparents live in a rural area. In this video, we will talk about weather or the weather. We can say weather or the weather. Now, what is the weather? When I think of weather, I think of things in the sky that are coming down or not coming down. So, I think of rain. I think of snow. I think of heat because heat comes from the sun. It comes down. I think of the cold because when it's cold, the heat from the sun is not coming as much. I also think of wind. I think of how strong the wind is when it's raining, or even if there is a blue sky. Sometimes it can be very windy, even when the sky is blue. Where I grew up in America, every winter there was a lot of snow. But here in Vietnam, it doesn't snow where I live. Only the top part of Vietnam gets a little bit of snow sometimes. It's very rare. In Vietnam, we have a lot of hot and rainy days in the summer. And in the winter, we have some rainy days and many cold days. Where you live, what are your summers like? And what are your winters like? You can say your summers are hot, or not too hot, or rainy, or very rainy, or dry. You can say that your winters are wet or dry or cold or freezing. Freezing is very, very cold. Or you can say your summers and your winters are similar. Some places in the world are like that. Personally, my favorite kind of weather is the rain. I love rainy days. I even like driving in the rain on a motorbike because I live in Vietnam. I use a motorbike. I like the adventure of driving in the rain. What about you? Do you like rainy days like me or Or do you like sunny days or cold days? Please tell me in the comments below. You can say, I love rainy days the most. You can say, I really like snowy days. Or you can say, I enjoy cool days the most. Before I end this video, I want to talk about the word weather. This is a hard word for many people around the world to say because it has the sound v. That sound is very rare in the world's languages. In English, we have two sounds that need us to stick our tongues out. The first one is f. We write that with th. The second one is v, like in weather. We also write that with th. So how are they different? In the first one, we do not use our voice. It's just air. In the second one, like in weather, we use our voice, like that. Sadly, there is no way to know just by reading a word if we need the no voice or the voiced v. You have to hear the word or read it in a dictionary that shows you how to say it. But in the word weather, we need the sound with the voice. So we don't say weather or weather. We need the tongue out. Weather, weather. In this video, we are going to talk about work. First, let's talk about two kinds of work, or two kinds of jobs. First, we have something called blue-collar work, or blue-collar jobs. This is called an idiom, a phrase that we say that sounds weird, but it has a different meaning. This picture right here can help to explain what it means. In the past, people who worked in coal mines, like these people, like they were under the ground digging things out, wore blue clothes and they had a blue collar. Because if dirt got on their clothes, it didn't look very bad. So people started saying blue collar, like these people, to mean work or jobs that used the body and muscles. So coal miners, farmers, construction workers, and people who fix things, like plumbers, can all be called blue-collar workers. When I was young, I had a blue-collar job in a warehouse, but it was kind of like a factory too. I had to carry heavy things, drive a forklift, and unload big trucks. I used my body and got big muscles, so I had a blue-collar job. Blue-collar jobs can pay good amounts of money, but they can also be dangerous and very tiring. But without people to do blue-collar jobs, the world would be a mess. So I am thankful to blue-collar workers. The other kind of job is called a white-collar job. Take a look at this picture. We see people who can wear white collars in their jobs because they don't need to worry about getting dirty, like the coal miners. So people like doctors, nurses, engineers, scientists, and teachers can be called white-collar workers. These jobs don't usually need big muscles or a lot of running around. They are mental jobs. Now, I teach English in my English Center and through YouTube. Both of those jobs are white-collar jobs. So I have been a blue-collar worker and a white-collar worker. But don't get confused. A blue-collar worker could wear a white shirt. They would still be a blue-collar worker. Also, when I wear a blue shirt and have a blue collar, I am still a white-collar worker because I am a teacher. Both blue-collar and white-collar workers can be self-employed. That means that they made their own company, or maybe they work alone and companies pay them to help sometimes. I am self-employed because my wife and I own an English center. But when I taught English in Hanoi, I was not self-employed. I worked for a big English center in Hanoi. Blue-collar workers can be self-employed if they have a business that cuts bushes like this. They work with their bodies a lot, but they are still not the employee of anyone. There are other ways for blue-collar workers to be self-employed too. Also, are you a blue-collar worker or a white-collar worker? I have been both, and I think that they are both important for society. Now, let's talk about how we can describe our jobs. If someone asks you, "What do you do?" or "What job do you have?" you can say, "I am a white-collar worker," or "I am a blue-collar worker." You can also say, "I'm self-employed," or "I work for a company." You can also talk about whether you are a normal employee or whether you are a manager or supervisor. Managers and supervisors are basically the same. They watch the other workers and try to guide them and help them to work better. Another word for manager or supervisor is boss. So you can say, "I am a normal employee," or "I'm a manager or supervisor," or a boss. Finally, let's talk a little bit about how to describe what you do in your job. If you are responsible for something, it means that your job is to make sure that it happens. For instance, when I taught in Hanoi, I was responsible for the test scores of my students. If they got low scores, I got in trouble. If they got high scores, my boss was happy. I was responsible for the test scores of my students. In your job, you can be responsible for things like fixing things or making things. Like you can be responsible for making a computer screen, or you can be responsible for repairing a forklift. You can also be responsible for people. if you are a boss. You can be responsible for hiring people and firing people. You can also be responsible for training new employees. If you do that, you are called a trainer. Finally, let's talk about dream jobs. Dream jobs are jobs that we really want to do. We think about them a lot, and we hope that we will get a job like that in the future. In my life, when I was about 16 or 17 years old, one of my dream jobs was being a professor in a university. I wanted to do that job because I love teaching. But when I got older and learned that I needed to get a PhD over maybe 10 years, I thought, maybe there is an easier way for me to start teaching. When I was even younger, when I was 12 or 13 years old, my dream job was owning a martial arts school because, again, I love teaching and I like martial arts. Tell me, are you working in your dream job right now? Or do you have a dream job in your mind? If you don't, that's okay. People can be happy even without a dream job if they have enough money to buy food and live somewhere safe, and if they have good family and/or friends. Before I end this video, I want to talk about the pronunciation of the word job. Many students mispronounce this word as job. Let's listen to the difference. When I do this, I will say it correctly. When I do this, I will say it incorrectly. Job, yob. Job, yob. What is the difference? The difference is the first sound, j. That sound is two sounds together. If you don't know how to make the j sound, let's think about it like this. It is almost the same as the sound ch in English. That sound is also two sounds together. T, t, and then sh, sh, ch. To make j, we just need to add our voice to the ch sound. So the T becomes a D, and the sh, sh, becomes a zh, like zh. D, zh, j. It's just like ch in our mouth. The only difference is in our throat. We add our voice. Ch, 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 j, j, j. Job, job. In this video, we are going to talk about movies. And in the next video, we are going to talk about series. Many people confuse these things, so let me explain how they are different, and then we will talk about movies here and series next time. A movie is something that you can go to the cinema or theater, they are the same, to watch. Usually, they are about 90 to 120 minutes long. But some of them can be longer. Series are collections of smaller things. Each little thing is usually 30 to 60 minutes long, and you don't need to go to a theater to watch it. Some people think, but some movies are connected too, and that is true, but Movies that are connected have new names for each movie. So, for instance, if there is a movie about your dog, you could say that the first movie is called My Dog, the Hero. And the second movie would be My Dog, the Hero 2, like that. Series don't have new names for each thing that you watch. They just say episode 1, episode 2, episode 3 of the series. Now, let's talk about a very popular kind of movie. And when I say kind of movie, I'm going to use a special word. That word is genre. There are two ways to say that word, genre and genre. I will say genre, but they are both okay. We will talk about that word later in this video. It means kind of movie. So, the first popular genre is romance. These are movies that talk about people falling in love with each other and often becoming husband and wife. These movies are very popular among women, but men can like them too. For instance, I like to watch them with my wife sometimes. Another popular genre is called sci-fi. That word sci-fi stands for science fiction. We should know what science is. If you don't know, you can use Google. And fiction means a fake story. So science fiction, that genre, is about things that are often in the future, and they may be possible or they may not be possible. Usually, sci-fi films are very amazing and sometimes a little bit scary. Personally, I love sci-fi films, and sci-fi is my favorite genre of film. Another genre is comedy. These are movies that make us laugh. They are very goofy and silly. Those are similar words. They both mean funny and humorous. When I was younger, I loved watching comedy movies a lot. But now, like I said earlier, I prefer sci-fi. Next, we can talk about scary movies. We also use another word for that, horror. That's a little bit hard to say because it has two parts that are very fast. Horror, horror. These movies make us scream and close our eyes and make our hearts beat very fast. I sometimes like movies like these, but as I have gotten older, I have started to prefer sci-fi more. Another genre is called the biopic. It's like a story about someone's life. Bio means life, and pic means picture. Another word for a movie is a moving picture, or sometimes just a picture. But it doesn't mean that it's a normal picture. It's just a different way of using the word picture to mean movie. Biopics often show the whole life or parts of a life of someone who is famous. Maybe a politician, maybe a soldier, or maybe a celebrity. There are many more genres to talk about, but I want to talk about just one more in this video. It is called rom-com. Rom is short for romance, and com is short for comedy. We already talked about romance movies and comedy movies. So a rom-com is a movie that tells a story about falling in love, and also it wants to make the audience laugh. Please tell me in the comments, what genre you like the most. You can say, I am a huge fan of sci-fi, or you could say, I love romance movies, and that would be a joke because romance movies are about love. If we make a joke like that, it is called a pun. Before I end this video, let's talk about how to say genre. That word was taken from the French language. So its first sound is a sound that does not have a letter in English. That sound is zh. It's like sh, sh, but we add our voice. Sh, sh, like that. Zh. Then we say genre, genre. Some people, though, especially in America, can say j instead because that has a letter, the letter J. So they say genre. Both are okay, but it is usually more sophisticated and refined to say zh, just like the French people do, genre. So let's practice together, genre, genre. In this video, we are going to talk about TV series. I already explained how they are different in this video, but I will explain it again briefly in this video. Basically, we can go to a theater or cinema to see a movie, but to watch a series, we don't go to a place like that. We just need our TV at home. Now, let's talk about series. Just like movies, there are many genres of TV series. The first popular kind of TV series that comes to my mind is the crime drama. Crime dramas show how police officers and detectives find criminals and figure out what happened in a crime. When I was younger, I liked to watch series like those a lot. Next, there are two related types of series. The first is called cartoon. Cartoon series look like these over here. They are often for children, but not always. They often have a lot of funny moments and very colorful scenes. Another related type of TV series is called anime. Animes look like this, and they are strongly influenced by or often come from Japan. Anime is a Japanese word. Just like cartoons, they are often for children, but they can be for older people too, even adults. Another popular genre for TV series is reality TV. TV series like these try to show people living together and working together, and often they show a lot of fights and disagreements between people. Personally, I never really liked shows like that very much, but I know that many people enjoy watching them. Let's talk about one more genre. It is called fantasy. Fantasy TV series often show pretend worlds. They have a lot of magic and dragons and things like that. Fantasy TV series are popular among children, teenagers, and adults. Often, the author or the writers of the TV series want to share a message with their show. Please tell me in the comments below what your favorite TV series is, or what your favorite TV series genre is. You can tell me that you love the name of a particular series, or you can say something like this: I am a huge fan of crime dramas, or I watch comedy series every day. Before we end this video, I want to talk about the word series. Some students think that it is a normal word where we add an S when it's plural and we don't add an S when it's singular. But that is not how the word series works. We always have the S. When it's plural, we have the S. And when it's singular, we still have the S. So we don't say one series. We say one series. We always have the S. One series, two series, three series, like that. That is the end of this video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.